Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to completely unpack the fascinating psychological and numerological profile of the number 4. We'll be looking really closely at both the light and the shadow of this number. We're going to examine how its incredible foundational strengths are built, but also how those very same sturdy foundations can sometimes turn into restrictive weaknesses. So if you've ever wanted to understand the actual mechanics behind ultimate reliability, or on the flip side, why some structures completely struggle to adapt to change, you are absolutely in the right place.
All right, Section 1, the salt of the earth. Let's jump right in and establish the fundamental bedrock of the number 4's core personality traits.
You know, when you hear that phrase, salt of the earth, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? It usually evokes something entirely essential, right? Something you can depend on unconditionally. And honestly, that is exactly how the core traits of the number 4 are described in our source material. Their reliability isn't just some casual, nice-to-have trait, it's their absolute defining characteristic. This realistic outlook means they are not there lost in the clouds, they are deeply grounded in the here and now. They're that stabilizing force in any room, bringing a much-needed sense of calm predictability to literally every situation they encounter.
Moving into Section 2, the builder's strengths. Let's take a look at how this immense practicality and discipline actually manifest in their day-to-day life.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that their discipline is not just some internal mechanism. It's actually a super high standard that gets projected outward onto the entire world around them. The number 4 is fiercely disciplined. These are the folks who always show up on time, whose lives are meticulously organized, and who really hold themselves accountable. But it doesn't stop there. Because they set such exacting standards for their own behavior, they naturally expect that exact same level of dedication and punctuality from you. It's a highly structured approach to life, and it demands mutual respect and order. And this is exactly where that discipline takes on a deeply emotional and caring dimension. That rigid organization, it isn't cold at all. It translates directly into fiercely providing a secure, stable environment for the people they care about. The number 4 is incredibly loyal and protective. They take their devotion to their loved ones so seriously, actively working their hardest to build a safe haven. In fact, their strength is so vast that they frequently just take the burdens of others right onto their own shoulders. They act as the ultimate shield for their families and their communities.
Which brings us to Section 3, the workaholic mindset. How exactly do they apply these rock-solid traits to make steady progress in their careers?
Well, this highlights what truly motivates them, and that's the work itself. The source text describes 4s as having such an incredibly strong work ethic that they're often seen as your typical workaholics, but you have to look closely at what they actually value. They find their deepest satisfaction in obscure service and steady, measurable progress. They are definitely not out there chasing the spotlight. They don't need flashy public accolades or someone constantly singing their praises. No way. For the 4, the ultimate reward is simply the tangible result of a job well done, built brick by brick, day after single day.
But of course, every structure, no matter how strong, eventually casts a shadow. Section 4, the weight of rigidity. Let's examine their challenges and weaknesses.
It is absolutely fascinating to see how a 4's greatest strength is the exact same thing that causes their greatest weakness. It's a real double-edged sword. On one hand, they're incredibly practical and realistic. They value tangible results and tried-and-true methods. But that exact same heavy focus on facts and logic can lead directly to a lack of imagination. Because they are so deeply anchored to what is already proven to work, they can sometimes come across as orthodox or unimaginative. They really struggle to think outside the box when a situation demands a completely new or untested approach.
Let's see how this translates into specific real-world personal hurdles. Because they rely so heavily on order and discipline, when they're suddenly faced with change, their immense willpower morphs into pure stubbornness. Their ideas become totally fixed, and they can appear incredibly rigid or even argumentative if you try to alter their plans. And you know what? This creates a profound fear of chaos. If you take a number 4 out of their carefully structured environment and drop them into an unstable, unpredictable situation, they are prone to extreme discomfort or honestly, even panic. The very unpredictability of life becomes their greatest antagonist.
All right, heading into Section 5, the number of delay. Let's explore how 4s overcome the inevitable obstacles in their journey through life.
So, here's the absolute crucial takeaway. Across some traditions, the number 4 is literally known as the number of delay. Because their entire path is built on steady progress, strict adherence to facts, and a massive resistance to risky shortcuts, their journey is very often associated with struggles or delays. Things rarely come easily or overnight for them. Instead, it requires a significant, sustained intellect and just sheer, unyielding determination to overcome life's hurdles. They're the ultimate long-distance runners in the marathon of life, constantly required to push through delays that would absolutely break a less disciplined mind.
Which leaves us with this to really think about. Whether you identify strongly with the number 4 or not, we all have elements of this dynamic playing out in our own lives. So I want to ask you, how do your own discipline and your own need for stability shape the way you handle delays and unexpected chaos? Do your foundations act as a powerful launching pad, or do they become a restrictive cage when the world refuses to go according to plan? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today, and I really hope this gave you a powerful new lens to view the structure in your own life.